When it comes to wanting certain successes in your life and you're not able to reach them, what is really holding you back? And we might be pointing our fingers at a bunch of different things, but if we really think about it, we can really break it down into smaller things. And if we really think about it even more, it usually comes down to maybe one, two, or three different ideas. And the biggest idea that I see that so many people struggle with is themselves believing in certain realities of their life, that certain things are going to be happening, and therefore they don't take the action. They don't move forward with whatever it might be that they want to be doing. I was recently speaking to someone and they want to take their business to the next level. And at first she was saying, I don't know which direction to go. And after speaking to her for a little bit, we really got pretty directional in terms of which out of the different options she had made the most sense. And when it came down to it, I asked her, so what's moving? Like, why aren't we moving forward in this direction? And she says, well, there's this certain program that I need to be learning, and I really just need to sit down and practice with it. And I said, so like, why aren't we doing that? And she like froze up. But she had this belief that she wasn't able to do it. She wasn't able to learn to be, however it was going to be, to get herself to move forward in that direction. And it was really so incredible to see. It was fascinating. And I started questioning myself, like, where are certain beliefs that I have? But it was a belief that she had that she didn't know how to do it, that she's not so techy. So therefore, she's not able to go forward in this one massive direction that she wants to go in. So when we are trying to figure out what it is that we want to be doing in our lives, what are we holding ourselves back from? Yes, we can blame finances, we can blame the government, we can blame, I don't know, our fifth grade teacher, but those are all external things. Those are things we can't control. What is something that I can control? Because guess what? Everybody has certain things that exterior motives have happened to them, and therefore they're not able to take the action that they want. So what is that we can start to do to say, hey, regardless of what's going on out there, I'm going to be able to do what it is that I want to be doing. And if I can't go this direction, I'm going to figure out a different direction, and I'll keep figuring it out, and I'll keep pivoting, and I'll keep moving forward until it happens. And I think for so many of us, we get so stuck because we start to believe it. And it doesn't just become a belief, it becomes like a way of living. It becomes a reality to us. And then it's no longer like I just believe this. This is like, no, this is the way it is. Like the color green is the color blue, but it's like, no, you're just convincing yourself of that. And that's like one of the big dangers of this limiting beliefs is that we have certain beliefs and we can technically fall into believing whatever it is we want to be doing. And I really think that's with anything in life. If we really want to believe something, we're going to believe it. The enough times you say it, the enough times you hear it, you're going to start believing certain things. And it could have been that we've already experienced that in certain areas of our life where different people around us have been saying certain things. And therefore we just adopted that. And then we just said, this is the way of life. And what's interesting is you listen to like these podcasts of successful people, and they're thinking about business because business is one of those quick feedback loops that you get pretty quickly. And you see the more successful people, all they're really doing is that they're taking a step back and they're saying, what is going on over here? How can I look to change something? What are the beliefs that I'm thinking are that A plus B equals C? Because maybe A plus B doesn't equal C. How is it that I could start to change that and pivot that in order to be able to do the thing that I want? Because once we switch that's game over. And for so many of us, we want to be able to believe a certain thing. We want to be able to go in a certain direction. And we're saying that other things are holding us back. But the truth is, it's just us. We are holding ourselves back. And because we're holding ourselves back, that is one of the scariest things because it's not anything else that's going on. It's I have to learn this thing, but guess what? I have to be the one to do it. And you look at successful people and people who are really successful say it's pretty easy to be successful nowadays because the bar is so low based on how many people are willing to put in the work. And the more and the deeper you get into it, the more you see it because you realize, wow, people are really just lazy. And I recently went to my wife and I told her, like, I think I'm a lazy guy. And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, you wake up early, you do so many things, you're all productive all day. And I'm like, yeah, but like, I'm pretty lazy. Like, I'm bending corners. I'm not really putting in as much effort as I want to put in. And there's certain things that I can be doing and I should be doing that I know I should be doing, but I just can't get myself to do it. And it was so fascinating because on the one hand, other people look at you and they might say, wow, you're so productive and you're doing something great. But like you look at Elon Musk, who's literally doing everything in so many different arenas of life. It's not just like one arena. It's like in so many different arenas of life and how he's being so successful in so many different places. And you look at him and you're like, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm sure if you would ask Elon, like, are you productive? He'd probably say, yeah, because I've done X, Y, and Z. But he's like, I have so much more I want to do. I have so much time I waste doing X, Y, and Z that I know is not beneficial for me to be able to move forward. And I think that is a fascinating insight that we can all start to figure out for ourselves. What is it that we're doing that's holding us back? Because if we can start to allow ourselves to just free ourselves to be able to do certain things in certain directions, then we're going to be able to move so much quicker. And one of the cool things about beliefs that I love challenging people with is that it's just a belief. It's not reality. It's not true. And it's just as much you are creating this belief that is holding you back, this limiting belief. You can also just as easily create a belief that is going to help you. It's going to enhance you. It's going to help push you forward. And for so many of us, we don't think about it like that. We think this is it and this is the truth, but it's not the truth. It doesn't have to be that way. And we are just telling ourselves that. Or maybe we believe it because other people are telling us it has to be this way. And I'm not saying don't get advice from other people, but we learn from other people. We don't become other people. We don't transform ourselves. We have to pick up what we like and what we see from other people. We have to experience and see how the experiment is going. And once we do that, then we could start to shift. I remember there was one time I was speaking to somebody and they had this whole big idea that they were going through, and they had this belief that if they were going to become successful in their businesses, then they were going to have less relationships with their family members, because they thought that if they're more successful, they're going to be busier with their business, and therefore they're going to then spend less time with their family because they'll be so busy. And their family was an extreme priority to them. So they started to self-sabotage themselves. And it was a massive insight that this person had, because they didn't realize that it was really the self-sabotage and it was the belief that they had that was just making them not successful. And I think for all of us, we have to figure that out, because this person then, so what do you do then? So, okay, so then I'm not going to become successful. No, we have to change our belief. Maybe if you are more successful, you're going to have more time with your family. Who says you're not going to have? We just do it. And it's interesting because what's the reason why we do it? If you think about it, the reason why we tell ourselves we can't do something, or if I do X, then like something bad's going to happen, is because we want to protect ourselves. We want to set ourselves up to make sure that we're good, right? It's our like natural instinct to want to just make sure that like I'm safe and I'm in a place where, you know, nothing's going to hurt me physically or spiritually or mentally, whatever you want to call it. And because we're doing that, because we believe that, really what's going on is that we're setting ourselves up, because we all know that the true way to grow, the true way to become somebody, the true way to get to the next level is by being uncomfortable, is by pushing ourselves, is by working out our muscles literally and figuratively in the gym, and by putting ourselves in situations where we don't want to really go because it's really not comfortable, but we know it's really good for us. Those are the times where we're growing. And that can unleash so much within each and every one of us. So which areas of your life do you start to believe certain things, a belief about certain money? Like it happens all the time when I speak to coaches who want to look to sell more in their businesses. So they want to either start to, you know, they're coaches and they want to be able to charge more. They want to create bigger programs where they're going to be charging more. And there's such beliefs around it, such limiting beliefs like I can't do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, well, if you're going to say it like that, then you probably shouldn't be pitching. If you're going to be offering only that, then yeah, maybe you shouldn't be pitching that amount. It's not just like, I want this, so therefore I'm going to just say a number. It's, I'm going to make it more valuable that it's going to be worth this number. And they have a choice to say yes or no. And it's interesting because you could go to a restaurant and a waiter or a waitress can come over to you and they can ask you and say to you, hey, do you want to buy dessert? Do you want anything on the menu for dessert? And you don't think anything of it. You're just like, they're just doing their job because like that's the next part of the meal. But guess what? That's a sale. And that doesn't have to be uncomfortable. And I think it's something that is so important when we are working with certain things and certain ideas, that if we start to believe and we start to think about certain things in our lives that they are really hurting us, or that this is not the way it should be, or I can't do this, I hate that I can't do this. No, you can. And the way you want to shift it is not I can't do it, it's how can I do this? If I want to sell a product worth $10,000, so how can I sell a product that's going to be worth $10,000 that people might be even excited to pay for? Imagine that you came up with a product that people were excited to pay for. Because if we can start to do that, then that shifts everything for us. That puts everything in our lives up for grabs. We have the ability to accomplish so much more because the things that are holding us back are these fake chains that are of beliefs, and all we have to do is just cut them, change them. Instead of holding us back, they should be pulling us forward. Because imagine those beliefs that you had, like money was like a bad thing, or I can't sell. Imagine if you had the belief of like I can sell anything. Money's like the best thing because I can do so much good with it. Imagine how you would feel that way, how much it would pull you forward, how exciting it would be, how less scared you would be. And it's when we are doing these things that we're so scared to be doing, instead of thinking how bad it is, it's what can I do to pull myself forward? What can I do? What's the belief? What's the exact opposite of this belief? That if I had that belief, that would be really exciting. Instead of saying like I have to have a small business, or I'm not capable of doing X, Y, and Z. But no, I'm very capable of doing X, Y, and Z. And guess what? It's just a belief. And that's one of the things that happens with false confidence. I speak about the idea of confidence, how it's really not confidence that most people want. It's the idea of courage, that most people want courage in the beginning in order to take the action to become confident in something. Confidence is just a result of taking action in spite of the fear. So what we want to try to do is we want to be able to be more courageous in the moment. But what's interesting is that there's certain people who have false confidence and certain people who have overconfidence. So people who are overconfident are the ones that you think about who are very arrogant. They're haughty. They're the people that you don't really like. For me playing basketball, they're going to come onto the basketball court. They're going to think they're all that. And they're just extremely overconfident and arrogant. That's not something that's going to be able to help you. The people who have false confidence are the people who know they don't have the skills, but guess what? They're going to start to believe that they have the skills. And they're going to play as if they do have the skills. And they're going to try extremely hard because they know that they're missing something. And I had a student like this who literally wasn't good at basketball. I was coaching him, and he wasn't good at basketball. He was on the team, but he tried so hard, but he was a good athlete. He was very good at football, and he was very good at baseball. And because of that, he was able to translate his confidence from his other athleticism into basketball. And it's a skill you have to learn. You can't just pick up a sport and just be good at it. It's a skill you have to learn. But he was able to maximize other areas of the basketball game. So his hustle, his defense, his just the way he was like running around the court like crazy. And he ended up becoming like the sixth man by his freshman year, starting on the varsity team. Like, it was crazy. And what we have to realize is that we all have certain beliefs in our lives that don't have to be like that. And what we really have to do is we have to start to work on it. We need to be more conscious about it. How can we start to put in time in order to become somebody better? What is it we can start to do? What are the manifestations that we have to have? What are the deep breathing sessions we have to have? What is it? What are those limiting beliefs? Like, let's start there. What are the things that you're scared to do, and why are you scared to do them? What are those beliefs around it? And if we can start to figure that out, then guess what? We can start to believe anything. We can start to shift anything. And it happens so much in our fear of failure, fear of success, imposter syndrome. These are all different areas where it happens. And all it takes is just a shift. It's a different framework that you can start to implement in your days. I was recently speaking to a group of college kids, and we spoke about imposter syndrome. And when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's the idea that you feel scared to put yourself in a certain situation because you don't feel worthy enough. You don't feel like I belong in this arena. So maybe it's somebody who ends up, biggest example is like you're in 8th grade and then you go to high school, and then you're a freshman and you just like feel like you're tiny and you like just don't belong. So that's like imposter syndrome. The thing with imposter syndrome is, on the one hand, you're telling yourself you have this belief that you don't belong. But on the other hand, really what's going on is that you are growing in the moment. You're becoming somebody in the moment. And if we can start to understand that in that way, then all of a sudden things are going to shift so much better. We're going to be able to move forward directionally in the way that we want to be going. Because we have to understand, it's just a belief. Because how many of those, I don't know if it ever happened to you, but like when you were a senior, you see that freshman who's like confident, and not just like an arrogant confident, overconfident, but somebody who's actually like a confident freshman, and like you give the kid respect. And the biggest proof to this is that when you're a senior, you don't feel the same way. You look at this as the freshman as like, oh my gosh, these guys are like tiny. So we have to recognize for ourselves, what is it we're doing? How is it we're believing all of these things? And it's so sad for so many of us that the thing that holds us back is this belief. Are these beliefs that are just not true? And imagine if the only thing that was stopping you from taking the next step, I'm not going to talk about reaching your dreams and your goals, which I believe you can, But the thing that's taking you from your next step is like, I just don't know what to do. And the answer is you might not know what to do. You might not know how to do it. But what's the next move I need to make? What's the next video I need to watch? Who's the next person I need to speak to? What's the next action that I have to do? And by doing that, I'm telling you, things could start to shift tremendously. If you are a coach, expert, or thought leader, and you are looking to take things to the next level, and you want to have that support to be able to just amplify your message, make sure to reach out. We have some really cool stuff, a lot of cool freebies, and hope to see everybody on the next one.